What's going on, everybody? Dogman Dan here. This is not going to be a short video, and oh my god, it is a much needed thing. Weapon balance changes that are coming. Fanboys all over the forums already bitching and complaining about the changes. So, let's talk about it. And if you're butthurt easily, you might want to just turn the video off right now. I mean, it's not going to affect me if you turn the video off, really. I'll be honest. Over 300 weapons in this game, it kind of takes a bit. It's kind of hard for them to balance things, and they really have to look at how the game works. And keep in mind, and this is the most important part on balances in this case, it is PvE, yes indeed, but it is a co-op game. And the way some of these weapons are, co-op missions are completely useless to many people that get stuck with certain other players using the meta-grade weapons, because they walk out of the mission without having done anything. Completely useless in a mission because of some jackass that wants to and needs and has the need, if you will, to get all the kills. I've got to have all the kills. I've got to be the dominating force in this cooperative game that is for 4 people. And yeah, I get it. You're in a clan, it's no problem. You're in an alliance, it's no problem. You set up private matches, it's no problem. For everybody that plays in the random grouping matches, this is a problem. I play in random grouping matches all the time because I like to meet new people. But jackasses like this can be a huge problem, and it's really based off the weapons. And some of them have the attitude to go right behind the stupid fucking weapon. To be honest with you. Hasn't really affected me much during my gameplay sessions, because I'm just that good that I always come out with some high numbers. And a lot of times, even with these stupid meta weapons around in a mission, I'm still better than them because I'm just good like that. And I'll admit to it. It's okay. I'm just good like that. I can do more damage than most people, even though I don't play the meta, just because I'm good. Again, if you're butthurt easily before we get into the rest of this conversation, please turn off the video now. It's that simple. I don't cater to anybody. You're not going to like some of the stuff I have to say. So we got a total of 14 weapon changes, 10 buffs, and 4 nerfs. And they were completely set up and set it just as that. 10 buffs, 4 nerfs. Okay. Quickly, for anyone that doesn't know, the buffed weapons, and I'll talk about them all here, and this is going to be a longer video than normal. Miter, Harpak, Hind, Panthera, Parasist, Mutilus Quana, Buzzlock, Glaxion, Ogress, and Attica. All those weapons will be getting a buff. The Tonkor, the Simulor, the Sinoid Simulor, and the Telos Boltace are all getting significantly nerfed. And it is about fucking time. Honestly, if we're being honest here, people, these changes should have occurred right after the release of the weapon. One of the big issues that is faced in this is the fact that they let these changes go unbalanced for way too long. And that's a huge issue in that respect. But these balance changes, no matter how you slice it, no matter how much you hate what I'm going to tell you, they had to happen. All of them. Exactly as they are. It's that simple. Now, off the bat, just so everybody knows before I get too far into this, if you've invested in what's going to be one of these 4 nerfed weapons, when the update releases, you will get an inbox message generated on the login for a 3-day affinity booster One forma per owned weapon to reconfigure your weapon as you see fit. I don't want to hear anybody bitch about it anymore. Because, good God, that's all it is on the forums. All you're giving me is a 3-day booster in a forma. I've put 7 forma into this thing. I've done this and I've done that. What about all my time back? What about all that forma? You just give me 1 forma? Are you fucking stupid? You're lucky you're getting something. Come on. Every game to ever exist has a balance change. At some point, it's probably going to affect you. Especially if you play the meta. That's how it works. The meta weapons are the ones that are noticed. Those are the ones that get the balance changes and the nerfs most often. That's exactly what they're talking about here. 10 weapons, totally overlooked for so long, are finally getting changed. 4 weapons, totally overlooked, that should have been fixed in the beginning, are finally getting a change. You should be lucky that they're going to give you something on the return. Also, regarding any ribbons that you may have or are looking to pick up on these listed weapons, expect changes to those stats as well. Okay? Stay tuned for those. Let's just get into this right now, people. Because here comes the fun. Tonkor. Oh yeah. Here we go. Now deals self-damage like all other launchers. About fucking time. Pretty much everybody's going to put that sucker right down. Put it right down on the ground. You're done with the weapon. Good. Move on. If you can't handle self-damage, then it shouldn't be a weapon that you're playing. It was far too long without self-damage. Tonkor grenade trajectory. There's a line that'll now appear when you're holding the fire button, and the grenades will release, obviously, when you let go of the fire button. Maximum lifespan of the grenades has been dropped from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. Grenades are quicker to explode. Please note, 2 seconds is a huge difference, especially when we're talking self-damage. The grenade bounces lower and explodes sooner, making them more likely to explode where they are shot at the first time, no extra bounces. Okay? And the critical chance has been reduced down to 25%. You can still get some decent critical out of it, but it is down to 25%. All needed on this weapon. There's really no way to look at it. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. These changes are exactly what was needed for this weapon. Whether you agree with it or not, it's exactly what it's needed for that weapon. You just got to look at it at that standpoint. That's exactly what needs to be done. Simulor. Synoid Simulor. These are going to be interesting, guys. So, we'll talk about the Simulor itself. Status chance is being increased to 30%. Critical chance that's on this weapon is completely useless. The stats haven't changed. It's just disregard it, because there is no critical chance on this weapon based off of how it really works. Okay. AoE explosion range. This is based on a stack when it expires or it's manually detonated. Is going to increase from a 0.5 through 2.8 meters up to a 1 to 6 meters. So at a minimum, it's 1 meter range. At a maximum, 6 meters range. Obviously, based off of, I don't know, mods. Explosion damage has been increased from 50 to 250 when detonated. Okay, so when you're detonating that AoE, it's going to go up from a 50 to a 200. Okay, that's a big change. And obviously that's going to change with mods. Orb stacking events. Here we go. This is going to be the interesting part. When orbs combine, the damage range is going to decrease from a 3 through 8 down to a 1 to 3. Okay, that's your damage range. So from basically a 3 to 8 down to a 1 to 3. Big nerf right there. Also on the orb stacking event, damage decreased from what was 150 to 250 down to 20 to 40. That's your base damage now. 20 to 40 before mods. This is on the straight Simulor. As well, to offset that, the amount of orbs required for a full stack is going to be decreased from a 5 to a 3. So that's 2 orbs less to get a full stack to max out that 40. Or basically, you know, whatever mods you put on top of it. But that's going to be a significant nerf to the weapon and how it works, making it almost completely useless to most people. You're going to have to really rethink how you play that weapon. Oh wow, you're going to have to actually think. You can't just go and spam anymore. Oh boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Simulor, the Synoid Simulor. The only real differences here is the damage increase on the weapon explosion is going to go up to a 250 it's going to go from 50 to 250 instead of 50 to 200. So it's an extra 50 on the Synoid Simulor. As well, on the orb stacking, it's going to be changed from a 150 to 250 like it was. It's going to change from a 20 to 50. Okay, so it's got 10 more, a little bit more over the regular Simulor. So instead of 20 to 40 on the stacking increase, the stacking event, this is a 20 to 50. So both weapons significantly nerfed down, significant, and it's just exactly what's needed. Telos Boltes. This is gonna hurt a lot of people who like to get into a room and just insta kill with the slide and clear out a whole fucking room. Well, guess what, guys? No longer is that gonna happen. So the weapon's receiving a mechanic change, basically. Not numbers, just mechanics change. So the slide attack will create a vortex that staggers and draws enemies towards you. On a second slide attack event right after the vortex, this is going to radial blast and ragdoll enemies away from you. This back and forth will be on a cool down. Okay, got it? Yeah, you can no longer room clear with the weapon. And there's a cooldown in between the back and forth. Again, exactly what was needed. It just way too long for them to implement it. Okay. So, that gets all that out of the way. So, any butthurt people that are still around here, 12 minutes, you guys can leave now. Okay? Now, let's look at the underpowered weapons that are getting buffed. The Miter is one of the oldest examples of a killer concept with lackluster results. So here's what we're looking at. Increased chance of dismemberment on kills, increased speed of projectiles, charge time has been halved, critical chance of 5% for a quick shot, critical chance of 10% for a charge shot. Obviously changes with your mods, and the mastery rank is now increased up to a mastery rank 6 to be able to use the Miter. Okay, I don't know how that affects people that actually have the Miter. I think that affects people that would be looking to try to get the Miter. Pretty much with everything else. I'm hoping, because boy, that would really suck otherwise, right? But that would be consistent that if you already have it, you're able to use it. If you don't have it, now you've got to be mastery rank 6. Harpack. The Harpack stats just aren't the worst in the scheme of primaries, but it's receiving a big change. So the recoil is being reduced on the primary fire. The alt fire charge time is being removed. It's now an instant harpoon. Critical chance is being increased up to 20%. The increased the range of the alt fire from 15 meters to 40 meters. And increased the flight speed of the alt fire and updated the FX. I gotta be honest with you, I'm almost glad I've kept my Harpack Riven mod right now, because that's a huge change, and that Riven mod's probably going to come in very handy. The Hind, same thing here. I've got a Hind Riven mod that this might change everything. So they've added a single shot semi-auto alt fire to the Hind that has increased damage, critical, and status chance. Okay, that's all you need to know. Right there. Okay, Panthera. Like the Miter, the Panthera was pretty much lackluster. So primary fire has been switched to an automatic, and the fire rate is being increased. The status chance of the primary fire is being increased up to 20%. The critical chance of the primary fire is now 10%. Critical multiplier is now going to be 2 times. Ammo requirement is reduced to a 2. Secondary fire status chances is now 35%. The critical hit chance of the secondary is now 25%. And it is going to be a mastery rank 7 weapon. Again, big changes, much needed. Parasist, excuse me. The damage of the primary fire has been increased by 5. Updated the effects of the projectiles on the primary fire. Increased the range of the alt fire tether to 50 meters. The status chance of the primary and secondary is going to be increased to 30%. The critical chance of the primary fire has been increased to 10% and is now going to be a mastery rank 5 weapon. So we're seeing mastery ranks come into play here based off of some of these changes that they're making. They feel like you need to be a slightly higher level player to be able to play it. Again, if you own it, you still have access to it. If you don't own it, you're now going to have to wait. Mutalist Quanta. The Mutalist Quanta is getting more of a mechanic change. It will have an alt fire stack similar to the Simulor to make a large infested orb that can shoot through for additional advantages. That's kind of a nice change. We'll see how that all plays out, but all fire for stacking, making larger orbs that you can shoot through. Of course, obviously your damage increases through the shoot, so there's some advantages in there. The Buzz Lock. Oh, here's a big one. Ammo requirement for the secondary homing has been reduced to 2 from what it was. Physical damage distribution has been adjusted to a 50% impact, 40% puncture, 10% slash. Damage has been increased to a 60 from a 45. A critical chance increase up to 15%. Critical damage increase to 2.5 times. The flight speed of the homing beacon has been increased. The homing beacon will now only stick to NPCs and characters. The critical chance increased by 50% on targets with homing beacon attached to them. Clip size has been reduced down to a 50, however, and this is now going to be a mastery rank 9 weapon. I'm not sure about the reduction of the clip size, but it's okay. I'm sure it'll work out based off of the other stuff that they're doing here. Glaxion, ice weapon. We all know this thing. A cold damage increase to a 333 from a 250. That's a huge change. The rate at which the ammo is consumed has been decreased. They increased the accuracy of the Glaxion, and they reduced the range from 30 meters to 24 meters. Not sure about the range reduction, but that's a huge change in terms of damage, base damage, and the ammo consumption changes, the decrease of that. So pretty happy so far with what they've said in that regards. Obviously you have to play around with it to see how much of a difference that's going to be, but I'm sure that's a huge difference in that regards. Ogress, what was once one of my favorite weapons. I just haven't played it in a while, but here we go. This is the big one for me. Flight speed of the projectile has been increased. Yay! Status chance has been increased to 35%. Yay! The charge time to fire the Ogress has been reduced. Yay! The direct impact damage of the projectile has been decreased to 100. The AoE damage has been increased to 600. The AoE range has been increased to 6 meters. Mastery rank 8 is now a requirement. All some pretty nice changes on the Ogress. I may have to pull that out and blow some shit up again, which of course would include myself because it does have self-damage, and many times I killed myself. But if you don't do it for the lulz, what else are you doing it for? And then finally the Attica, which I've actually always liked the Attica, and I've got a very powerful setup on the Attica, but people have always laughed at me for having it. Anyway, the automatic primary crossbow, if you will. The weapon recoil is reduced. The fire rate is increased. The flight speed of the bolts has been increased. Critical chance is now going to be increased to 25%. The critical multiplier to 2 times. And the ammo capacity has been increased to 20. All very nice changes, if you will. Now, that's it. Those are all the upcoming changes. Get ready for it. Don't talk to me about being butthurt about the Toncore Simulator and the Telos Boltes. Those are all needed changes, guys. Regardless of whether you agree in terms of just because you've played them and you put that much time into it, you have to look at it from just a blank standpoint. Those were needed nerfs on the weapon. That's it. I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.